Welcome to Elmhurst Now. I'm Ken Bartels, your host. Elmhurst is a very philanthropic community. What with the college, the hospital, the symphony, Elmhurst Heritage Foundation, and lots of other ones, we have a very generous community. But within that community of generosity, there's also some very unique stories and some unique organizations who do special things in special ways. And we have two of those organizations on Elmhurst Now tonight. We have 100 Women Who Care and Hops for Humanity. And we have four special guests that we're really delighted to have here this evening. Pat Sheehan and Julie Miller Sheehan. We have Jean Carlquist and Ann Olson. And welcome to Elmhurst Now.
Thank you, Ken.
I want to start off tonight by asking each of you individually to share your Elmhurst story. You know, how long have you been in the community? And then add when you got involved with respectively Hops for Humanity and 100 Women Who Care. And Pat, we'll start with you if that's all right.
I moved here in 1987, and 2 out of my 3 children were born at the old Elmhurst Hospital. And Elmhurst is a great community. Hops for Humanity. I had this idea for a charity, and it was frankly modeled off of the 100 plus women who care. And so I checked the Who Is website, and something called hopsforhumanity.com and .org was actually available, so I reserved that for all of 99 cents. And then I approached Julie with this idea, and she says, go for it, I want to support you with this. And so I had friends over, and I said, guys, I have this crazy idea for a charity where we drink beer and raise money for a local charity. Who's interested? And they go, in. They were all in support of it. So that's how it really got started, especially with the support of my wife.
And I went to Elmhurst College for the last 2 years of my undergraduate degree. I played for the volleyball team and became involved with the community via an intern at the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce. Fell in love with Elmhurst, and I've been here since 1998. And of course, I've been with Hops for Humanity since its inception in 2014.
Jean?
Yes, my husband and I moved to Elmhurst when we got married 29 years ago, and we've raised our 3 daughters in the community and have had a great experience living in Elmhurst. I'm a co-founder of 100 Plus Women Who Care. We got started in November of 2013.
And I moved here when I was 6, so whatever year that was, and have lived here ever since. Actually went to Timothy Christian Schools and to Elmhurst College and met my husband there. Now we have 4 children who go to the District 205 schools and all play musical instruments like my husband and I, and that's how I became involved with Elmhurst Music Boosters, and that's through that is also how I heard of 100 Plus Women and joined that organization.
Now you mentioned 2013 for 100 Women Who Care. Hops would have been what year?
January 15 was our first event.
Okay. I'm interested in a couple of things as we start to explore our conversation together. I know there are other 100 Women Who Care groups. Can you name some of the cities they're in just to inform our audience?
Sure. There's actually 490 current chapters of the 100 plus model.
I guess there are some then.
There are. And actually the number has doubled in 2 years. And the chapters are located largely around the United States and Canada, but there are also a number of 100 plus chapters that have popped up around the world. So it's now an international network of chapters. There are 26 chapters in Illinois and roughly 20 in the Chicago area. So it is growing. It's growing quickly.
And Hops, are there any other, probably not by name, but that your kind of group around?
We're the only organization with this model with the beer. I'm not so secretly hoping that someone else picks it up and runs with it. I have had conversations with a gentleman in Colorado who's interested. I've had conversations with another gentleman in Michigan. And so anyone who wants to do it, I'm happy to help. My model is free, take it.
So that's a good transition into model. So Describe for me how 100 Women Who Care is structured. How are you organized? We're going to talk about your meetings in a minute, but how are you structured? When you founded yourself or the model that you just described that's international now, how are you organized?
Sure. So it's a very simple concept, and that's really why I think so many people are so interested. We were started with 5 women, basically. One of the women was part of the Wheaton chapter before working to spread the idea in Elmhurst. So there are 5 of us that got together, and it was the same kind of thing. We met at Panera Bread over coffee and said, what do you think? And we all kind of pulled out literally our Rolodexes, if you will, and said, who are your friends? And started networking and put a meeting date on the calendar, and that's how it got going. So organizationally, there are 5 of us now. Marta Davey was one of the original founders of the 100 Plus Women Who Care organization. And since she's been gone, another woman has joined, so we still have 5 as kind of a steering committee. But we're very much a grassroots volunteer organization. The women are very involved in running the meetings and doing all the follow-up. So there are 5 of us who kind of make sure we all get together, but it really is it's all the women who make it happen.
And HOPS?
HOPS is largely the same model. However, we have some added layers because we incorporated and became a 501c3. So organizations and individuals have the ability to donate to HOPS outside of meetings or events. We also have our own Facebook accounts, Twitter, Instagram, and our own website as well. So our organization has 9 board members, and every board member is responsible for a facet of helping each event come together.
So essentially, a difference I'm hearing then that at 100 Women Who Care, the participants write the check to the selected charity. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And with HOPS, they write the check to HOPS, and you write one check to the charity after it's been determined.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so the meetings. You meet quarterly?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everybody meets quarterly. Terrific. Where do you meet, and how does it go? I'm pretty sure it goes the same way for both organizations, but you're the senior group, so we'll let you answer that.
We meet at Angelo's on York Road, right in Elmhurst. They graciously donate the room. We go upstairs in their banquet area. Mm-hmm. And it's really nice because a lot of women gather there beforehand and stay later and socialize and eat in their restaurant, and then they donate the upstairs room. And then the meeting is about an hour long. The agenda's an hour. And it starts with the previous charity giving sort of a report, some feedback as to how the donations went. And then everybody puts their name in a hat, those who want to present, and you pull 3 names out of the hat just randomly. Those 3 people present, and there's a question and answer time after that, and which is really cool actually. The women asked really thoughtful questions and are really encouraging, really trying to find out what the different charities are going for. And then we vote, and then the winner's announced, and you write your check, and it's done. And it's very efficient, and it's very impactful, and very simple.
And HOPS operates, now the main difference I can hear and know for that matter is you don't meet in the same place.
We have not repeated the same location. We like to meet at a local brewery or a restaurant, and we feature a local brewer that doesn't have a tap room. And so the brewing community has really opened up to us a great deal. They're very, very generous people. Most of the breweries are closed on a Monday, or restaurants are closed on a Monday, and that's when we hold our events. And so they open up just for us. They pay the people to be there. They donate the beer. They also donate a brewer for a day experience, where if you're interested in brewing on a professional brewing system, you actually get to go back and brew with a professional brewer and drink the beer that you got to brew. And so we're very, very lucky in that regard. As far as the format goes, it's very, very similar to the 100 Plus Women. 3 names are drawn out of a barrel instead of a hat, out of a barrel. And those 3 individuals have 5 minutes to present their charity to the group. There's a question and answer session, and at the end of that, our members vote. 100 people, $100, $10,000 in an hour and a half on a Monday night while drinking beer.
Our meetings tend to run about 90 minutes because we also have the addition of the brewer speaking to the group about their beer. If it's at a bar or restaurant, then we give them the opportunity to speak about their establishment as well. And again, we do have the raffles at the end, whether it's a brewer for a day or other raffles, including a wheelbarrow of beer that we give away, a bucket of beer, or a special 6-pack of beer.
So essentially, the commitment for members for both your organizations is $400 a year.
Correct.
Yes.
And obviously, if someone wants to be more generous than that, good for them, good for you. Are there other expectations of your members? Do you have other expectations of them? Is there for example, do you have a collective expectation that members will actively promote the organization and find other members? I mean, you didn't start with 100. You didn't start with, okay, I'll switch gears on you. How many members are there right now in 100 Women?
We have about, well, we're donating about $15,000 every quarter. So we have about 150 active members.
Right. Okay. Hops?
We regularly have anywhere from 80 to 90 attendees at events, but other members donate, again, online to our website after the event if they cannot attend. Also, other times we have very generous employers of our members, so some of our members have taken advantage of their employer matching programs. And also, if they deem that the charity chosen that night was very special to them, some have donated in addition to their $100.
Plus Smile.Amazon. We ask our members to use Smile.Amazon. It's just like regular Amazon, except for a portion of the proceeds comes to us. And so everyone uses Amazon. And so it's very, very easy to get them to donate a little bit more.
So you didn't, the 5 original got together, and how quickly did you grow to your 150?
Well, Ken, our first donation was, we had 121 women write a check for $100. So we grew fast, and we have about 80 members currently who were part of the inaugural group in November of 2013. So there have been people that come and go, which we welcome, and there are no expectations of our members other than the 4 quarters of commitment. And the women love that. I think I think that's why people keep coming back, is because there are no expectations. Right. There's no other event planning. There's no.
You don't have to join a separate committee in addition. It's just.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no fundraisers to support the organization, because the whole organization is a fundraiser.
Exactly.
It is. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. I remember when 100 Women Who Care was founded, and I felt the community just sort of embrace it, and it took off. I have to admit, I didn't know you started out with basically 120 people at your first meeting.
And they didn't all come to the first meeting, but to your point, the energy was fabulous when it got started.
Yeah.
And what was really exciting, I think, was the 5 women who got together to found the organization. We weren't all in the same circle of friends, so we kind of were able to tap into different people in the community, and the support was phenomenal right from the very beginning, and it's just the enthusiasm has stayed. It's very exciting. Well,
and as Pat's already acknowledged, he sort of looked over at 100 Women Who Care and said, how can I turn this into something else? And I remember talking to you shortly after you started Hops for Humanity, and you sharing with me not only your format and your ideas, but your hopes for how you would grow. A different kind of format, perhaps a different audience, But at the same time, I also remember how quickly things seemed to pop for you.
Yes, and I was a member of 100 Plus Women. So I came home very excited about what we're doing for the community and told Pat how excited I was, and then that inspired him again to think, how can I do this but with beer?
And I really do want to thank Jean. She sat down with us in August of 2014 and told us about her early success and gave us ideas on how to do hops. And I also want to make it clear, Hops for Humanity, the beer is the sideshow.
Oh, sure.
We're here to raise money for a deserving local charity. And the beer is fun, but it's not the main draw.
Well, and as I said, I think both of your organizations have powerful impacts on the community, and we're going to talk about that in the second half of the program. But the joining, there are multiple reasons why people join organizations, but the number one reason people join organizations is somebody asked them to join the organization. But the second one is they believe in the basic mission of what they're doing, and the format. The beer is not the format. The philanthropic nature of the event is the format, and even the social gathering that is part of your organization as well. That's not the format.
Right.
The format is providing support for a group you're going to hear about at the event.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly.
I think that's the interesting part for me is. And I've talked to people who were members of members of groups who went to both your organizations, who either got picked and didn't get selected, so they got to present but they didn't get selected, or they weren't ever picked at all. So they've been to multiple events and it just hasn't pulled out yet, and. They're anxious and they're planning to come back because, let's face it, a $10,000, $15,000 check for which you pretty much had to only be yourself, that's a pretty nice work for many of the charities that you've supported. And we will also talk about what some of those charities are in the second half of the program. What is the most important thing that you personally take away from your involvements in your organization? The two of you with 100 Women Who Care. What do you take away personally from your participation?
I don't know. I just know after my first meeting, it was just the coolest feeling to just, sit with all those women and then realize what you had done in such a short amount of time without any strings or any, you just listen to some great people talk about their great organizations, ask some good questions, and you made a decision. And it's not sort of a win-lose sort of thing, because I did present twice, and I didn't win the first time. And the women around me were just like, oh, do it again. Yeah.
Sure.
Keep coming back,
Yep.
And so it's so encouraging. And I even had women give me a check, even though I didn't win. They just said, oh, we believe in what you're doing, So it's just a neat feeling.
Yeah, I kind of come away still. I mean, we've had 13, 14 meetings now, and every meeting I come away and just go, wow, this is awesome. They're great women who are thoughtful and very engaged in the community, and I think a microcosm of Elmhurst overall. I mean, your comments early on, we're a giving community. We care about our friends and our neighbors and our families, and we want to make this a better place to be. And I think that's very inspiring. And I come away from every meeting feeling like this is powerful. It's people who care, and especially at the beginning of the meetings when you hear the story from the previous charity, and
sure.
you hear the personal, it's a personal story, because the money we're giving is impacting a life or a set of lives, and you see the difference it's making.
Julie?
Definitely everything they said, but also For us, it's meeting new people and, of course, trying different beers at new breweries. It's really a lot of fun to not only explore that as part of the research committee, but also to introduce local people to local breweries. You know, there are some members who didn't even know Church Street was around, and they hosted our second event, and now people say, oh yeah, I saw your poster at Church Street. You know, it's great to introduce local breweries to Elmhurst.
Pat?
I've lived in Elmhurst for a very long time, and there's so many charities I didn't know existed until we started Hops for Humanity. And the profound effect that these charities have on the community, the good work that they do, I didn't know about that. And so all of our 100 members, or I wouldn't say all of them, but many of our 100 members didn't know about that either. And so it just makes me feel good to learn about these other charities, the great work they do, and then that we get to fund these local charities.
On that point, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back in the second half. This is Elmhurst Now. We're talking about two very special organizations in our community, 100 Women Who Care and Hops for Humanity. Very unique and doing some very, very wonderful things. We'll be right back.
Have you visited the Elmhurst Public Library lately? The Kids Library is a wonderful place. When not being used for library programs and classes, Elmhurst Public Library cardholders can reserve the meeting rooms. The second floor is where you can find the adult and teen collections. An enclosed area devoted to high school students provides space to create, play, share, and study together. Use our computers or bring your own to our work-friendly business center. Technology classes for all expertise levels are taught in the computer lab. High-quality audio and visual equipment in the Creative Studio gives you the opportunity to create, record, make, and invent. You can produce real items with the 3D printer and poster printer. Study rooms provide space for studying on your own or working with others. The larger gathering room is available to reserve by Elmhurst Public Library cardholders. Our convenient book drop and drive-up window make picking up and returning library materials a breeze. Don't forget, Elmhurst Public Library is always open online at elmhurstpubliclibrary.org.
Welcome back to Elmhurst Now. We're talking with representatives of 100 Women Who Care and Hops for Humanity. I want to start out this segment with some of the numbers. We've talked about memberships and what have you, but you're a little more established or a little older of a group. Total dollars raised to date since 2013.
Well, we just had our, we don't have our 14th meeting total yet, but we're after 13 meetings, we raised over $200,000, so $204,000 in 13 hours, which is what's so fascinating about the process.
And Hops?
That's amazing.
That is
Very
very
amazing.
wonderful. Congratulations.
We just held our 10th event, and we're at $104,500.
Awesome.
Yeah. The simplicity of both organizations at their absolute base is no question as to that's part of the appeal for the fundraising. Mm-hmm. It's not a campaign that goes on for weeks. You don't have to call people up on the telephone. You don't have to sell raffle tickets. You don't have, you come quarterly, select a charity, write a check, go home, or maybe you don't necessarily go home, but you were out for the evening and you did some really good things. I'd like each of you to share with our cable viewing audience a memorable experience, something that happened at one of the events, or a encounter with one of the charities that has just simply stuck with you throughout. And we'll mix it up a little bit. So Jean, we could start with you.
There are many memorable moments, and they really, truly, they all have to do with the recipient of the donation. It really is all about that encounter with the people who are receiving the money and doing the real work in the community. I think for me, one of the most memorable experiences that we've had has been with the Ray Graham Association. This goes back to a comment you made earlier. We had a member present a project at the Ray Graham Association early on in our when we got started, and she didn't win. But there was so much energy around what she had presented. There were several members that volunteered to get involved and make that project happen, despite the fact that she didn't win the vote for the money. But she came back again, and Ray Graham did receive a large donation from us to build a multi-sensory room in their learning center in Elmhurst. And just interacting with the people at Ray Graham and seeing the joy on their faces and knowing the impact it was having on their lives, it's one of the things that really has stuck with me.
Pat?
You mentioned power earlier, and when you get that many people together and donate money, there is power. And so, for example, one of our charities is an Elmhurst charity called Survivor Vision. And what they do is they give scholarships to survivors of pediatric cancer. And so their budget is $10,000. And so they give 10 scholarships per year. In an hour, we doubled their budget.
Sure.
And that's power. That's amazing.
And also the next event after Survivor Vision received that, one of the students who received that scholarship came to our event and spoke, and that was very powerful as well. I actually have that moment every meeting because I am in the back and I am taking the money, taking care of registration, and it's a Monday night, and because we're not in Elmhurst and it's a different location each time, I just stay there so that it doesn't matter when someone arrives, they are greeted, they get their ballots, and of course their drink tickets. So it's usually loud and everyone is enjoying themselves, having a great time, talking about the new beer that they're trying. And I know from being all the way in the back when the charities are going to present, because it gets quiet. You can hear a pin drop, and everyone is completely focused on the charity presenters. And for me, that is why we're all there. It's good beer, but doing good.
Well, and that speaks to what you said earlier. All of you have said. It has nothing to do with the event.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It has to do with why the event is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Ann?
My moment is kind of a connection of moments between two of the charities that we recently gave to. One was for Synapse House in Elmhurst. That was in August, I believe. And I had never heard of it until we had that meeting and we donated. And then I was talking with one of the brand directors at York High School, Mike Pavlik, about his mission to get chamber groups out into Elmhurst performing. And he challenged his kids to do 150 gigs in Elmhurst. And one of the recent ones was at Synapse House. And I said, oh, I just heard of that, So there was that connection. And then I presented in February and received a donation for Elmhurst Music Boosters. And then, no, that was in November. And then in February, we came back to the meeting to present, and you had asked, could we have some musicians perform at the meeting? And I said, sure. So we got some groups going, and one of the groups was had Mr. Pavlik's son in it, so he was there. So he started talking to Jean and told her about the connection between Synapse House and how his group had just played there and helped some of these. Synapse House is an organization that works with people with acquired brain injuries, and had gotten some of his students to work with their audience playing instruments, because music is very powerful for people with brain injuries. And so he spoke to the whole group about that. So it was just neat to see the two most recent donations, had a connection that we didn't plan, So that was a cool moment.
Well, Pat, something you said earlier, I have to admit I hadn't thought about, was that the Hops events have made you more aware of other charities in town, charities that you didn't know about. I would guess that one of the byproducts for all the charities that you have helped, and perhaps even some that haven't been selected yet but have presented, is that the same thing. Other people in the collective rooms have heard about a charity that they have gone home, researched, thought about, attended an event, wrote another check, one out. So the philanthropic ship, the tide is rising, or the tide is raising all of the philanthropic ships, which is another one of those. You mentioned power. That's another one of those power moments when you think about, yes, you've got the basic $10,000 or $15,000 going to a charity on a night 8 times a year. But unless someone tells you, there's no way you're going to know about the other power you're unleashing in making people aware of these charities, which is, I would guess it's not something that was front of mind when you formed your organizations, but I'm guessing it may have a larger impact over time, maybe than any of us might guess. Yes. When you go back to the beginning, share with me what concerns were voiced when you were meeting and talking about, well, it's happened other places and we should try one in Elmhurst. And so what, were there misgivings, were there concerns, or was it like, yeah, we just need to start it, it'll be fine? But so what was that conversation like?
Well, and I will tell you, when we started, we were a spinoff, as I mentioned, from the Wheaton chapter, and at the time, we had no visibility into the breadth, the seeds that were being planted around the country. So we thought kind of it was Wheaton, and it was us, and it was the founding chapter, which was in Jackson, Michigan, and a few others scattered around. We didn't know about everything to lean on. We kind of thought we were out just doing this on our own. Did we have concerns? The one concern that was raised was, are there enough charities in Elmhurst and in the surrounding community that we will be able to support? And well, we've seen what's happened with that. I mean, the charities keep on coming, and the need is great, and there's so much opportunity for us to make a difference. But other than that, there was so much enthusiasm. I don't even recall a concern.
And how did you come to the group? Did you just hear about it?
No, I really did. Yeah, I'd heard about it once at a book club meeting, and then I heard about it and I thought, that's cool. Mm-hmm. And then I heard about it again through a friend, and this was after I had joined Elmhurst Music Boosters, on the board of that. And then I thought, well, I'm going to check this out. So I went with my friend, and I just thought, again, it was just, I got the greatest feeling, and just thought it was so efficient and so impactful and powerful in an hour.
So over across the kitchen table, what were the concerns about Hops for Humanity when you said, well, let's give this a shot?
Is it going to work? That was my biggest fear. And the next morning after our first event, I was just on such a high because we had done it, and with great success. And so we still want to continue to grow. We're always looking for new members. The other side of the coin was we had to beg a little bit for a space and for beer at first. And the brewers talk to each other. It's a very supportive community, and the brewers talk to each other. And so sometimes now I'll call a brewer and they said, yeah, we've heard about you. When do you want to come? And so it's a great feeling to know that we have that cachet, if you will, among the brewing community, that they want to welcome us because they know that we come in, we hold our event, we don't ask a lot, and then we're gone.
Is there a top end? Is there a number beyond which you don't want to go in
No.
terms of members?
No.
I know on one level that's probably a silly question, but I know there are charities that sometimes get large enough that they lose their focus because they've grown so much. Same question to the two of you. Is there a point at which it's like, well, this isn't really what it used to feel like?
I think time will tell. I mean, my reaction is no. I mean, I think if we grow, it's great. I think the main thing for us is staying focused on what our mission is and not straying from that, because the model is successful and it's working. And as long as we keep it simple and keep it elegant and keep it, local, and I think it will continue to work.
What's been the general public reaction to both your groups? I mean, you have your members, and your members, they get it. They know why they're there. What's the general public, your non-members or just folks that hear about it and for whatever reason, if they're hearing about it for the first time, what has been the general response?
Oh, I think it's overwhelmingly positive. Yeah, like I said, when I first heard about it, I was with a
Are they
larger
surprised?
group. Well, kind of, yeah, because it's kind of a different idea if you have never heard of it, to just commit to that much money and then it all goes to one place, making a huge, impact. So I think it's only been positive from what I've heard, and when I've told other people what I'm doing, they're like, "Wow, that's cool,"
That was exactly my phrase, overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
And the main thing that we hear is, that is so cool. I can drink a new beer that I've never had before at a place that I probably haven't been to before, and I can donate and do something good for the community all in 90 minutes or less, for that matter.
And it's tax deductible.
I would also assume that the charities have been, you mentioned, you had an example where you doubled the budget of a charity, and many of the charities, I know from my own experience in Elmhurst, $15,000, $10,000, these are not small gifts for many of these organizations. So what do you hear from them? And I know they come back and report. I don't know if do you do that?
Yes.
Okay. They come back and report. What do they say?
Well, I think one of the things that we do in our giving is, and the presenters do as part of their presentation, is make a request for something specific. So the donations that we're making are going towards a project or something specific, a new program that the charity is interested in getting off the ground. So when they come back and report, the report it's very specific.
They've got a story to share.
They do have a story, and it allows for a level of accountability. It allows for the women to see exactly what the money's going towards. So the charities themselves are seeing an impact because the money is being used for something specific, as opposed to just a general donation, if you will. So I think that is allowing the charities to feel the impact as well.
Yes, completely agree. Again, go ahead.
No, please.
The budgets of these local community charities are, again, very small. They do the best they can with what they can raise on their own for 1 year. And in one night, as Pat has said, and as they understand, I'm sure, their budget is double. And instead of, wow, what can we do for this? They usually have a plan already set in place, like Jean said. So when they come back, they say, this has opened up so many more doors to us because of this little bit of extra funding, or a lot of extra funding. Now we can do this, and then that's opened up this door, and then they see that their donation from us has actually nearly quadrupled because of other doors being open.
Well, and at least in both your organizations, in the case of some of your recipients, they're social service agencies, which, of course, currently in the very unfortunate Illinois budget circumstance that is ongoing as we speak, they've been really harmed, and this is a legitimate boost,
Yes.
boost for all of them. Both organizations are too young for this, I suspect, but do you envision repeat grantees down the road? Somebody who comes back and says, 3 years ago you helped us with X and now we're doing Y. Think that could happen?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it happened at our last meeting.
Oh my, okay.
The Elmhurst Walk-in Assistance Network
Okay.
came and presented, again, a specific program that they're interested in getting off the ground, and they asked for our support to do it. They were one of the early recipients of the 100-plus Women Who Care donations, so they have come back a second time. And the beauty of the process is with the 150 women who are voting as to what charity they want selected, we kind of verify that this is a good charity, and people see that they did good with what we donated last time, and so it happens, and it did happen.
So there's been a repeat.
Yeah.
Hasn't been a repeat yet.
We have had repeat presenters, but the group has not voted to repeat the donation.
Okay. And who was your last recipient? We just heard.
We present a check tomorrow
Tomorrow, okay.
to the Elmhurst Yorkfield Food Pantry. So they're the winners of the April event, and we're giving them a check for $10,000 tomorrow.
So, people watching this program who aren't members of either of your organizations, how do they find out how to join? Go ahead.
hopsforhumanity.org, and which is our website, and of course you can find anything that you would like on there. There's event recaps, there's photos, you can register for emails. Just if you don't even want to attend an event, you can donate, and you can sign up to receive our emails and newsletters.
And you can directly donate to the charities that have presented and have won in the past through our website, if that interests you.
Okay. And 100 women who care?
I think hopefully hear about us from your friends, like Ann did at book club. So attend book club and talk to people in the community, and hopefully that's where you will hear about us. But if not, you can check out our website. It's elmhurst100womenwhocare.org.
And then I just emailed you. I got your name from the website, and I just said, hey, how do I do this?
Yeah,
So
And your next event is what day?
August 7, I believe.
August 7th.
August 7th.
So come out and join us.
Yeah, and yours?
July 17 at Shoeless Joe's in Addison, and Scorched Earth will be the featured brewery.
Scorched Earth. Okay. Not very philanthropic sounding.
But delicious.
Well, Pat and Julie and Jean and Ann, thank you so much for joining me tonight, but moreover, thank you for all of the great things that you're doing to help your organizations be so successful and philanthropic. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for having
Ken.
us.
This has been Elmhurst Now. I'm Ken Bartels, and I would leave you with the closing note. If you're not involved with an organization, or even if you are, you might want to consider joining one of these two, because they're doing some outstanding work. And we'll see you again.
Welcome to Elmhurst Community Unit School District 205. A place where teaching is bold and students are highly engaged in their learning.
Every student and every staff member has a story.
Decisions are made based on what is best for students.
Future-ready classrooms are growing and evolving daily.
Those classrooms model the 4 C's, the future-ready super skills of communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity.
The educational needs of all students are met, challenging each to his or her full potential and ensuring a foundation for future success in life.
All means all.
Rigor, relevance, and relationships form the basis of excellence. Excellence is embedded in culture.
Growth is a mindset.
Diversity is embraced and celebrated.
Opportunities for unique expression abound.
History provides inspiration.
Family and community are at the core.
We are committed to raising the bar to create bright futures for our children, preparing and encouraging them to reach beyond their dreams.